Hi everyone, and welcome back to Waterhouse Forde. It's been a couple of weeks since we last published a video. Like I said in the last video, we basically now just moving into the phase of stripping the tractor back down and getting it ready for painting. Some progress has been made. You can see I will do a little bit of a walk around in a second and show you kind of what stage we're at. To be honest, it's not massively interesting, but some of you might be interested. But listen, this video today, again, I think I also spoke about the fact that I had acquired a replacement Dynamo. It was a reconditioned new old stock, or old new stock, or however you say that. I bought it off eBay, and I showed it in one of the previous videos. It does need a paint job. It's obviously been sitting on a shelf somewhere for a long time, and it's got a little bit of surface rust on it, so we want to try and get that sorted. But I also wanted to quickly, for this video, I just wanted to run through a quick test. So again, just show you essentially how to test the Dynamo. Now, the interesting thing, I've just done a bit of a test myself, and I'm getting exactly the same result with this Dynamo as I got with the original when I was testing that. And I'll put a link to that video here so that you can go and refresh your memory if you didn't see that. In essence, I'm getting the same result, but now I've actually been able to get a voltage out of it by taking a different approach. I've gone back and reread the Lucas test manual, and I'm definitely doing it right according to the manual, but I'm still getting what to me seems like a negative result. In other words, that there's something faulty with the Dynamo. So I'm interested for any of you out there who know more about this potentially than I do, any sort of electricians out there. I'm interested to hear your comments and maybe just let me know what I'm doing wrong. As I say, I'm following the Lucas test manual. It's specifically for testing dynamos. The one difference, of course, is that assumes that the dynamo is actually on the tractor and you're using the engine to turn it, and that you do at one point have the control box connected. But for the first two initial tests, which is the two that I'm trying to do, it actually says to disconnect the control box. So I don't think that that's the issue. But nevertheless, essentially by energizing the field coil with a small battery, I can actually get it to charge and basically output a significant voltage. So I think it's fine. I don't think there's anything or mechanically or electrically wrong with it. I'm just interested in why these tests are not working. So anyway, as I say, I'll walk you through it. I'll do exactly the same test. I'll show you what I'm seeing. And then if there's anybody out there who knows more about this, please drop me a comment on this video and or drop me an email. I'm really interested to know what I'm doing wrong. Okay, let's jump into it. Okay, so here's my setup. At the moment, I've obviously got the Dynamo here. I've got my voltmeter connected to the main power terminal, positive and negative onto the body of the generator. These green wires are not connected at the moment, they're just there in preparation. Well, actually this one is connected to the positive terminal of this little battery, and the negative is not yet connected, so that's not currently doing anything. Actually, let me take that off because I need to do this the right way. So at the moment we've got literally nothing connected to the field coils. We've got the positive from the voltmeter on the power lead and the negative on there. You can see the voltmeter is reading pretty much 0. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to spin this up. The direction of rotation is towards the camera, and you can see at a slow tick over we're getting 0.1. We can raise that to 0.3, and flat out we can get that up to 1.6 volts. Now from memory, or rather to remind you, I'll just check this. The 4.2, so 4,200 revs per minute. Okay, so that this drill does, or it's actually an impact, but 4,200 revs per minute. So that's the speed we get to, and we get 1.6 volts on there. Now, so that's the second test. Now, what we should have got is between 2 and 4 volts. So not quite there, but almost. Now, what the manual says is to connect your power lead to your field coil lead, or terminal rather. That's your D and your F, they call it. And now when I spin it up, we should actually get a rising voltage, as in we should get more than that. And instead, what we get is almost nothing, right? So definitely something wrong there. Well, certainly that gives me a very different result to what the test manual suggests I should get. So now what I've done, or what I'm doing, is I'm connecting my field coil, my F terminal, to the positive on this battery, and I'm connecting the negative to the body. So this is simulating having a battery in the vehicle, and the battery being, or providing power to the field coil via the control box. You can see immediately we're getting a 0.02 volts there, which is maybe just nominal, so we'll ignore that for a second. Now I can feel that there's definitely an electromagnetic field there, because turning this by hand I can feel the resistance. So now as soon as I spin it, I'm getting that 2 volts that I'm expecting, rising, and I can get all the way up to 16, 18 volts. In fact, that went over 20 volts, went too fast there. So you can see that's behaving like I would expect a dynamo to behave. But it requires me to externally power the field coils. Now, my understanding was that the way these things worked was that you could actually take power from your output and use that to energize your field coils. That doesn't seem to be working. And again, that's what the manual says, that's what the test manual suggests. It doesn't actually say that, but it suggests. When they say to basically connect your D terminal, which is this one, to your F terminal directly. But nevertheless, with a battery feeding the field coils, this dynamo is behaving exactly as I would expect it to. So I think it's fine. I don't think there's an issue with it. I'm just very confused and very interested in understanding why those tests are not working. But so if anybody out there knows the answer to that, please do comment and let me know, or drop me an email if it's easier. My email address is just waterhouseforde@gmail.com. All right. So the next job on this now will be to basically just to strip essentially take the two ends off. I really just want to tidy up this body, get it repainted, maybe clean these up a little bit, but essentially that's all, and then put it back together again. While I'm in there, I'll obviously check the state of the brushes, but on the basis that this was a reconditioned unit, I'm expecting the brushes to be absolutely fine. And on the basis that it's working, that should be fine as well. So anyway, look, I'll quickly do a walk around, show you where we are with the tractor itself, and then that will pretty much be the end of this video. So just a short one today. Really just wanted to get this out there and see if any of you know what is going on. Okay, quick update. I have found the problem, and ironically, it's exactly the same problem as we had with the previous Dynamo. So interesting that. So despite this having been reconditioned, but also it's clearly sat on the shelf for a very, very, very long time. What they had on the brushes, they had, and around the brush and kind of on the brush carrier, it looks like they had some copper grease, and that had gone hard, basically. And one of the brushes was not making proper contact with the commutator. And which, again, if you go back and look at my original video, on the original Dynamo, you'll see that we had exactly the same problem with that one. Well, exactly the same in the sense that one of the brushes was stiff and stuck in its carrier, and it wasn't freely moving and therefore able to make proper contact and constant contact with the commutator. So I put it all back together. You can see I've cleaned this body up now. I've sanded it, ready for painting. It needs a little bit more work, but as soon as I found that problem with the brush, I just had to kind of sort that out, put it back together, and test again. So as you can see now, I got it all back together. I've got the voltmeter hooked back up. I'm on the D terminal and on earth. And when we spin it up just like that, we can see that we get a little bit more voltage. It's still not the 2 to 4 that we're looking for. But at 4,200 revs, we get to just about 2. What's more interesting now, however, is that as soon as we connect the D terminal to the F terminal, which is your field winding, so now the field winding will be energized by that 2 volts coming out. Immediately, you can see we're getting a good voltage out of that, and I'm not at maximum speed yet. We're at 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and so we go. And I'm not at maximum speed yet. I don't want to go to maximum speed, but you're not supposed to go over 18 volts. So you can see there we're comfortably sitting at 16. And we're probably at about 3,000 revs per minute, I would estimate. So that Dynamo is working perfectly fine now. So yeah, definitely a problem with that brush being stuck. Essentially only one of them was they were both making contact, but one wasn't loose. It wasn't free to move in its carrier. And as a result, I think, was not making contact with every segment of the commutator. So there you go. Problem solved, hopefully. Interesting that we still don't get, well, we just about get to 2 volts without the field winding being connected to the D terminal. But look, it's doing exactly what I expected to do, certainly on that second test, and it's a heck of a lot improved over what it was before, and I'm happy with that. So again, with the field windings being energized now, once it's in the tractor by the battery, I don't think we're going to have an issue at all. So there you go. That is the new Dynamo. So I'll get this all stripped back down, get this painted, and that will be ready to go back on the tractor when we come to reassemble. Okay, so here we can see we've obviously removed the manifold, exhaust manifold. I don't want to paint it. Well, I do want to paint it, but I'm going to paint it with a completely different paint, probably, obviously a very high temperature paint. We've removed the water valve, the drainage valve, also this breather hose connector. We've taped up the starter switch, and I've also taped up the gear knob on there. And then coming around on, obviously in the front, we've just taped up the water hoses there, and there, and then also just the front of the water pump there. but pretty much everything else can and will be painted. And then on this side, I've removed the distributor, I've removed the oil filter. I've removed the oil filter because I want to try and work out why that's leaking. I haven't yet got to that. I will shortly. Oh, sorry, there's also on top here, that breather pipe's also been removed and taped up. And then the oil filler cap has been taped up as well. Don't want to paint that. And that's, you can see I've stripped the dash as well. All the gauges are gone. Everything that I don't want painted has now been removed from the tractor. There's just one more thing. Well, there's a couple of things, but excuse me. Once I get it outside into the barn where we're going to be painting, I'll remove the seat. I will remove the steering wheel and tape that up as well. And then also here you can see the hydraulic lever, the control lever hasn't yet been connected, and so I will tape up that as well. And then right down the bottom there, you can't really see them, but there you've got the linkages for the lift arms. Those will be taped up as well. Pretty much everything else will then be painted. But obviously I will also remove the wheels. So once it's out there, we will put it up on blocks. We will remove all 4 wheels. We will send them off to have the tires removed, get the rims back so they can be painted, and then we will. And whilst the front tires are off, I'm also going to set the wheel alignment as well. Without the tires on and just the bare rim, it's going to be much easier to measure the distance between the front and the back of the rims. That's going to be a much more accurate measurement than trying to measure with the tires on. And then they'll go, but once they're fully painted and everything's done, then all 4 wheels go back to the tire shop and get new tires for the front, and the back ones are already new, so they'll just be put back on. But that's essentially where we are and how we're tracking. Over here, I've been doing some work on the actual dash. I'll just turn that over. You can see that's now been painted up. That's just a base coat, it's not the final coat. Although obviously it's very close to the grey that we're looking for, but that's now ready to be painted with everything else. Over here, we've got a couple of the other bits that need painting. So we've got the fan, we've got, as I said, the manifold there, we've got the water pump pulley, and yeah, that's about it really. We still have to sort out the mud guards. That work still needs doing. There's a bit of rust in one of them. That's a job still to be done. And all the lift arms, all those other additional items, they all still need to be dealt with. I've not even got them out yet from where they're being stored. So all of that needs doing. One thing I noticed, the coolant. Now look, we ran this motor for maybe 2 hours max, or 2 hours in total, and the coolant that came out was extremely rusty. It was very, very brown. We had only put water in, so you would expect it to have some, discoloration. But I was surprised actually at essentially how dirty that water was. Now I suspect that the majority of that would have come from the radiator, which is sitting down here. And actually looking more closely at the radiator, it's not in great shape. It's okay, it doesn't leak, and it kind of seems to work, but you can see there's a little bit of damage on the front here. Nothing really that would severely bother it, but there's quite a lot of rust down the bottom, and I'm a little bit concerned about that. And then on the back side, you can see, so this is the side that's towards the engine, quite a lot more damage here, right? So I want to investigate. You used to be able to get these things restored, flushed and cleaned, and etc., etc. I'm going to investigate that. Alternatively, I might just need to go ahead and get a new one. But I think that that I really should have flushed that properly before putting it on the engine. But as a result, now when we come to reassemble, I will be doing a complete flush down of this engine. You can see some of the rust here that I'm talking about that came out. Like I say, you do expect some, but yeah, I was quite horrified actually at just how. I mean, it was at times it seemed like it was just mud coming out, which was a bit surprising. And anyway, so that's that. So that all needs doing when we come to reassembly. But as you can see, the tractor is pretty much ready to be painted now. The weather is starting to improve. This is the Easter weekend, and it's sort of 12, 13 degrees at midday. But it's still very, very damp. We've had an incredible amount of rain recently, and yeah, it's just not great conditions for painting. So we're still a number of weeks away from being ready, I think, to be putting any paint down. So we're going to wait probably till, I think, probably May, possibly June even, when it's nice and warm and dry, and you know it's going to be better conditions. Yeah, I just want it to be good conditions for painting, basically. So that's what we're looking forward for. That's looking forward to. That's what we're aiming for. Oh, sorry. One other thing you'll notice, I put the old spark plugs back in again. They were previously painted, so I've put them back in. They can be painted, but you know, right now they're just covering up those holes, so we don't get any paint into the cylinders, and so that works quite well. Yeah. So. Look, I think that's it for today. Thanks for well, that's it for this video. Sorry. Um, Thanks for watching. And again, if anybody's got any information on that, on what I'm doing wrong in terms of testing the Dynamo, I'll be very interested in that. I'm now going to go ahead and start stripping it, get it painted, and get it ready. But maybe when I reassemble it, then if there's a different test or a different way to test, based on what I learned from you guys, then I will obviously have another go at that. But actually, I think it's going to be perfectly fine. I think once we get it on the tractor and get it all wired up properly, I actually think it's going to be perfectly fine. I'm just a bit surprised that those tests didn't work the way I was expecting them to, in a way that the manual suggests that they should. So, but anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you all have a great week. Happy Easter to all of you, and see you on the next video. Cheers for now.